Hey guys, how it do? Before we get into the review, I just felt like bringing something up. It's a little bit off topic, but I think it's kind of on topic. Do you guys know what my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card is? Go ahead and guess. It's fine. Guess what my Yu-Gi-Oh card is. Yeah, it's alright. It's alright. Wrong! You're wrong. You're totally wrong. My favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card is Inaba White Rabbit. That's right, Inaba White Rabbit, that spirit card that Noah used in Season 3. In fact, I love this card so much that I think about it constantly, which is why, if in the last My Hero Academia review you might have heard me pronounce Inasa's name as Inaba, that's why. I just cannot stop thinking about this damn rabbit. The White Rabbit has permeated into my mind more than the freaking Monty Python could ever attempt. But yeah, that's the reason. It's not like Inaba and Inasa are very similar sounding names or something, and I just, flubbed it and, completely forgot about the character's name. It's not like I even said his name correctly in another review. It's all because of the White Rabbit. You can blame the White Rabbit, okay? You can light this fucker on fire. It's a pretty common card. Just take it outside, douse it with gasoline, and just... It's the rabbit's fault, not mine. It has a power over me. Hey everybody, Tekking101 here to review My Hero Academia Chapter 113, titled After the Exam. I think we're done with the exam. I'm doing the Death the Kid, like, Mortal Stin stance pose here. Okay, so yes, the provisional license exam ends out in this chapter, and we're moving on to greener pastures. At least I hope. I have no idea where this story is going. The next arc could be the freaking, I don't know, fan service arc that always appears in every single manga involving teenage kids. It could be, all of Class 1A decides to go to the beach for a chapter or something like that. And who would want to see that? No one would want to see Momo or Uchako in a freaking bikini. I know I wouldn't. But anyway, yeah, finishing up the provisional license exam, we have Inasa and Todoroki both working together, combining their techniques. The flames and the wind have been calibrated at just the right way to result in a massive towering inferno completely encasing Gang Orca. Now, of course, Gang Orca's quirk is Killer Whale, incorporating everything is like a killer whale has. However, this doesn't just work as like a positive, he can shoot out ultrasonic waves and all that shit, but also the fact that he needs water. He needs to stay hydrated or, shit's gonna be, happening, he's gonna lose. So, while encased in this water, so he's pretty much being trapped in this fiery vortex. He can't get out, and he's thinking to himself that even though this moment doesn't completely erase the issue from earlier, because that was a pretty big flub, you're two heroes trying to help people in a disaster scenario, and you're getting into a fight with each other. I mean, that's not only, like, bad etiquette, that's also endangering people, and people could be dying in the rubble while you fight. So, I don't think there's anything that they could do, even if both Inasa and Todoroki teamed up and completely, killed all the freaking villains and rescued everybody all in one fell swoop and attack. I don't think that would really make up for the mistakes they made, and Gang Orca says as such. Meanwhile, we cut over to the Orca gang, who states, like, oh shit, our boss is trapped in the fire, what are we gonna do? We have to try to, fight them off to free him. However, Todoroki releases his ice to stop them. So he even brings up, he says, like, oh, okay, even though I'm not moving, the quirk abilities is still a little bit sluggish. Remember back in the first exam, he was using fire and ice at the same time, and he's like, oh, my movements are a bit sluggish. Here, he's on the ground already, but that still doesn't mitigate the fact that, just because he's not moving, it doesn't mean that he can use fire and ice, at, like, the same spectrum as he could separately. It's still going to take some training to get them on, perfectly. Alright, so the Orca gang realizes, okay, we can't get close to them because we're going to get frozen, so maybe we should change our directive on the other heroes. At which case, Deku appears and has a little bit of something to say about that. I have to think about this for a second. How the best way for me to express this? Oh, yes, Smash! It's funny because the way that Smash is always written in this manga, usually, it's not in a speech bubble. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't always say it in a speech bubble. A lot of times it just appears around the character, you know, as a sound effect. So in this situation, I'm not really sure if Deku is saying it, but come on, you see the big, huge, bold words of smash on a freaking page. You want to yell out smash. So, whatever. He appears, activates Full Cow, beats the shit out of the Orca gang. He's looking pretty damn fleek, too. He's kind of got like the Super Saiyan shit going on there. His hair's starting to stand up. So, way to go, Deku. You're looking cool. Ojiro appears, knocks away some of their guns. You know, so all the Class 1A guys and all the other students are kind of working together because the Orca gang themselves is not so bad. Pretty much the most threatening thing about them is their cement guns. And I'm also sure, because from what we're going to find out later in this chapter, they were told not to take deadly force. You know, I'm pretty sure they couldn't just walk up to one of the students and, like, knee them in the fucking stomach and then, like, just, you know, blast the fucking cement right down their freaking throat and kill them. Pretty sure they won't be allowed to do that. But the way they are right now, they're really no threat to all of the students. You have Marrow up there who's going through, and he's basically like, alright, there's only about 3 people left that need to be rescued. This one doesn't have as much of an adamant ending as the first one did. It was like the first 100 students to pass, you know, ends that phase. This phase is pretty much just whenever Marrow feels like it, basically. He's just like, alright, well, whenever all the HUC guys are rescued, that'll be a good, you know, that'll be a good place to end the exam, and considering it's been going on for a little while there. Let's get a few scenes now from the students taking on the Orca gang. No, really, just everyone gets a time to shine here. Most notably is Suyu, Frog Girl. She reveals a new technique, which is indicative of a lot of frogs. See, the cool thing about quirks like hers, and Gang Orca, I guess, although we're probably not going to get a lot more with Gang Orca, more focused on Suyu, is that she can do everything a frog can do. Alright, now at first, you might think, oh, that's a really simple kind of ability, like she can stretch her tongue, she can, you know, spit acid out, clean her stomach, you know, kind of weird things, maybe stick to surfaces a little bit better. So, you're probably going to run out of things to say, but when you actually sit back and consider all the incredibly diverse frog species that exist on this planet, the amount of things she can do are quite endless. And in fact, considering that she's getting new powers as she's, like, learning how to control her quirk a little bit better, at some point, Suyu's gonna learn how to fucking eject poison that's deadlier than, you know, like freaking cyanide, alright? Because fucking look up poison dart frog, alright? Just like one drop of that shit and you're fucked. You know, not just you, but like your entire tribe is fucked. I think it was like a single drop of a poison dart frog's undiluted poison can just... I don't want to put an exact number on this because it's been years since I've researched this, but the number of people that like a single drop of undiluted poison could kill is absurd. So... you know, this technique she learns now is a camouflaging ability. Some frogs are able to, you know, camouflage themselves in the wild. So now she can basically, like a chameleon, basically, like mask into her surroundings to take the enemies off guard, and that's her new ability. So, a lot of Suyu fans out there, I know she's a pretty popular character, probably really happy about this chapter here. Moving on, we see the other Shiketsu kid that looks like Cousin It, who has all the hair going on. He's using his powers to basically try to, you know, save face for Shiketsu, because Shiketsu's kind of getting the shaft in this exam. You know, because first you had the compressed meat dude, you know, Beefcake quirk guy, I forget his name, in the last exam, kind of causing shame to Shiketsu. And now you have freaking Inasa here, who's getting into fights instead of actually trying to help everybody. And he's the one that started the fight, so he's like, oh shit, we need to kind of save face here, so he uses his quirk to its utmost. Finally, we cut back into the flaming, you know, tunnel, and at first it looks like, alright, they just can as long as they keep this up, as long as Inasa keeps up the wind, and Todoroki keeps bringing the flames, and they keep this ratio, everything's gonna be good. However, Gang Orca, remember, he's the top 10 hero in the world, and he's been, you know, used to his quirk for a while, so I'm pretty sure he's aware more than anybody that, hey, I get kind of weak when it's really hot out and dry and against fire-based abilities, so he just takes out a big jug of water that he just had on him to douse himself, to kind of get himself hydrated, and he's like, oh, this seems like a good idea and everything like that, but then uses his ultrasonic waves and just BAM! Just breaks up the freaking flame tornado, and is like, well, what do you have planned next, kids? He's got the crazy eyes going. Is that a fucking mask he's wearing, or is his actual head that of a killer whale? Because, yeah, that's pretty imposing. Actually, from the way we look at his eyes, I kind of don't want to see... if that is a mask, I don't think I want to see what's under it. You know, because you think of a fish and a human in a compacted body, you might be thinking like, oh, mermaid or merman, that's all fantastical and it's amazing and And in reality, he takes it off and he's just some hideous freaking like Cronenbergian thing. Like, he's got freaking like fish and gills, crap all over his face, and he has like no mouth and he has no nose, and it's like, oh my god, just put the mask on, please. Anyway, just when it seems like they're down, Deku steps into the fray. You know, if we could get a Deku jumping into the last second to try to save the day count, because he's done that quite a few times in the series, just part of his character, really. That shit might end up him getting killed at some point, though. Anyway, he rushes in and launches one of his kicks right at Gang Orca. He manages to block it, but it doesn't really have any kind of, like, ending. Like, I'm sure Gang Orca might have been able to counter this, but you don't really get a chance to, because a big sound over the announcement of the intercom system happens, and boom, what do you know it, the second exam has ended, bringing the provisional license exam to a close right there on the spot. And it's this weird moment where it's just like all in this middle of high intense action, freaking fire pillars going on, you know, these students wrecking all these freaking Orca gang members, Inasa and Todoroki working together, you got Deku appearing like, oh, let them go, and just throwing a freaking kick right in Gang Orca's face. Gang Orca's going with the crazy eyes, and all of a sudden you just hear the attention everybody, the provisional license exam has come to an end. Please make sure to deposit all of your battle gear in the bin, change into regular clothes as quickly as possible, and report back here for the winners. Thank you very much. And remember, thank you for attending this safety seminar. This is just a safety seminar at the end of the day. Remember that. The public safety admission is putting this out there. Maybe they'll get like a little pin or like a pen at the end of it. And so we have the end of the exam here. We have everybody heading back in to change out of their clothing into their like just normal school uniforms. We have a scene with Gang Orca who brings up that he was he did have like a restrictive like brace on him. Like how, remember back in the final test in the last arc in the last school year, you had All Might and all the teachers, and they were wearing those like restrictive weights. So you know, they could actually be a match for their students. Kind of the same deal here, so he couldn't move around too well. And he also brought up that, like, okay, if I was, like, unrestrained and these were actually enemies, it probably wouldn't have been a big problem. But having to deal with the flame pillar and having to deal with, you know, Deku's kick at the last minute here while I was strained and I was kind of weakened by the fire, I don't know, maybe if this exam would have gone on a little bit better, a little bit longer, it would have been probably more of a problem for me than it would have been for Izuku. Yeah, so it just brings up right there just how strong these kids are, and really how much they've grown in the past just a few months to train. So the last scene of the chapter is kind of like a graduation ceremony. You have all the kids hanging out there, and then Mero comes out, and he's basically like, all right, this is how we graded you, blah, blah, blah. And he just presses a button on the screen. He's like, all right, here's everybody that passed in alphabetical order. You know what? It's one of those things that you always see in anime, like Slice of Life, how kids find out that they've been accepted into college. You know, here in the United States, you just apply to a college, and then you get you get the letter of acceptance in the mail. In Japan, or at least in anime, how it works is you gotta go and stand in front of this giant freaking like board outside your school or something and just like try to find your name. It just seems rather clumsy of a way to tell the kids. Just send out letters. I don't know. Recycling, it's a thing. You can do it. Well, anyway, here's the pretty intense moment. I would have loved them in a way for them not to show us the reactions of the students and just end the chapter with us seeing the whole board. Like, you have just like a full-page spread of the board, and then the reader would have to sift through and try to find the, like that kind of feels like the same anxiety, because we're the reader, and we're like, oh, I wonder if Izuku passed, I wonder what happened with Todoroki and Inasa, what happened? And so if you just show us the board, then we would have to, like, you know, try to find it. We would feel the kind of same excitement that, like, Izuku is feeling. But they don't do that. We don't actually get to see the names on the board at a distance. It's all blurred out. We see Izuku and Minato both looking through very carefully. He's like, oh my god, did we get in? Did we get in? And boom! The fucking nerd passed! Midoriya Izuku, welcome to your Hero Academia. Oh, wait, I already did that. Alright, whatever, fine. Whatever, you passed the license exam, kid. Here's your freaking license. Take a picture, probably like a nerdy picture, like, ah! And then get your freaking form and then go out and fight crime. Just remember, that's what they're doing this for. They're doing this to get the permission just to go out and fight like proper villains. So this is just step one, you know what I mean? So Minato also passed. We can see his name on the board, slightly obscured, as well as Momo. No real surprises there. So they're the only 3 kids from Class 1A that we know for a fact passed. There's going to be more than that, obviously. But I would like to see Aoyama pass, considering all the shit he went through. But the only ones we know for certain are Izuku, Minato, and Momo, Yaoyoroza. So finally we have Inasa, who's looking at the board, and he's looking for his name, and he can't find it. So he realizes he's not up there. And then the last scene is just Todoroki staring at it. Now you do see this threw me off initially. You see the bubble of I'm not up there, and it's next to Todoroki, so I thought he was saying it at first, but no. So it's Inasa who notices he's not up there, but Todoroki doesn't know yet. That's probably what we're going to find out next chapter, whether Todoroki passed or not, as well as all the other members of Class 1A, and probably Shiketsu and all the other places, all the prevalent characters in this arc, who passed and who failed. So yeah, my bet is I'm going to go off and say that Todoroki probably didn't pass, while it clearly was Inasa's the one who started the fight and initially had the problem with Todoroki. Todoroki still got caught up in it. You know, I don't know. I guess there was a way that Todoroki could have just tried to, like, run away from Inasa, just to try to be like, I'm not dealing with your shit right now, and just runs away, and he's not getting caught up in it. But they were in the middle of a fucking battlefield, so maybe he couldn't. I don't know how they're going to grade it. I can see it going either way, really, although I am going to lead on the edge of Todoroki not passing. But you can look at it from the perspective of, okay, Inasa's the one who started this fight, you know, and then, you know, Todoroki would have been completely focused, completely fine if it wasn't for that. So, of course, he needs to fail because of that. Todoroki's kind of up in the air. He's like, well, he argued back, and he's like, yeah, but what else do you really do in that situation? You know, it might be as simple as just run away and ignore him. But like I said, in that situation, it might not have been that easy. So, I don't know how they're going to judge it. What do you guys think? Leave a comment below, like and subscribe, and all that good shit. And who else do you think of Class 1A is going to pass? I think Tsuyu is pretty an easy one. I think also, like, Ida and Aoyama, as I said, I think those ones are a guarantee to get in there. Aside from that, I don't know where else we're going to go. Remember we had, like, Hagekuri and I think it was Sota that, like, passed or failed the end of term test. So I'm hoping you don't do that same thing again. Then again, there was a few students like Jiro, who we didn't really see a lot from. We saw Jiro using, like, a new technique with her arm brace, like, speaker things, but that was like the very beginning of the exam. We haven't really seen her since. So we don't really know how she did, or how she did with the rescue, or anything like that. Ochako, I don't know about her. We got a few good scenes with her with rescue, so maybe she'll pass. But yeah, let me know what you think below. Thanks for watching as we go into this new arc with My Hero Academia. What'll it be? Who knows? Tune in next time, whenever I have time to review this. Signing out!